What's up, Radiant Icons, and welcome back to Dare to Be Iconic, the podcast made for icons daring to be themselves. I'm your host, Amanda Policelli, and for today's Tea Time Sesh, we are spilling the tea on heartbreak. That's right, Radiant Icons. Last week we spoke about friendship breakups and how to move on and level up, and now we're jumping to romantic breakups because heartbreak may be one of the hardest things we have to navigate in life. But it does not have to break you. In fact, heartbreak is one of the most powerful tools to motivate you to change your life for the better. And that is what we are spilling the tea on today. But before we get into that, make sure to connect with me on socials, on Instagram and TikTok. It's at Amanda Policelli _ and at Dare to Be Iconic _ And if you're on LinkedIn, you know what I'm going to say. Make sure to connect with me on there. It's Amanda Policelli. All of my socials will be linked in the show notes below. And also, Radiant Icons, make sure to secure your spot for Dare to Be Iconic's second masterclass, Daring to Be Confident, on April 19th. This is a 90-minute masterclass where I will guide you through the process on how you can dare to be confident so you can radiate confidence like never before from the inside out. I am literally so excited for this class. So make sure to secure your spot today because I can't wait to see you there. And yeah, we're all going to dare to be confident together. So make sure to do that. Now, let's spill the tea. Heartbreak. If there is one subject I think I am qualified on to talk about, I think it's heartbreak. And I know I did say that for the Reclaiming Your Narrative 101, Own It or Rewrite It. I totally get that because I also am qualified to talk about that as well. However, if we go all the way back to the beginning of Dare to Be Iconic, this all started because of a letter in a box. It all started because of heartbreak and my choice to choose myself. So, what were the steps that I took to not only change my life and embrace my most iconic self, but what did I do to heal? What did I do to navigate heartbreak? Because remember, that letter in a box, that heartbreak was the first time I was experiencing that emotion in my life. Well, you could say I did experience that with my prior ex boyfriend, but it's a different type of heartbreak when you get broken up with no closure. Okay, so I am taking everything that I learned from my traumatic breakup and I'm spilling the tea. I'm sharing the Breakup Bible with you guys. Your guide to navigating heartbreak starts now. Are you ready, Radiant Icons? Because your tea time sesh is starting now. Here's the thing about heartbreak, Radiant Icons, and I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh my gosh, she never shuts up about how she got her heart broken through a letter in a box and that's how it started her Dare to Be Iconic journey. You're right. I'm never going to stop talking about it because that heartbreak was one of the best things to ever happen to me. And I will stand by that until the day I die. And a lot of people are like, how do you survive and thrive after you get your heart broken? It's not an easy process. Heartbreak is an emotional roller coaster. You are going to go through the 5 stages of grief. There's denial, there's anger, there's bargaining, there's depression, and then you get to acceptance. And when you hit that acceptance stage, that is how you can survive and thrive and live your most iconic life. And when I was in the thick of it, starting October 10th of 2022, I could not see the light at the end of the tunnel. I am not even gonna lie to you guys. Everyone said you're gonna be fine, it's gonna be okay, and I knew deep down they were right. I knew it. But I still couldn't see it. I could not see my future because I was so stuck in what was my past at that moment, right? Like, let's be for real. My past was ripped away from me, but that's all I could ever focus on. I couldn't think of a future without that other person because I was so used to having them in my life. And that's hard to navigate. But I promise you, when we go through the 5 steps of how I healed my broken heart and started living my most iconic life, you too will survive and thrive. So the first step in healing heartbreak in this breakup Bible, if you will, is accepting your feelings. You cannot just suck it up and move on. A lot of people are going to tell you that. Like, that's so for real with you guys. A lot of people are going to tell you, oh, just suck it up and move on. You're going to be fine. You're going to find someone else. Okay, like they may be right. In fact, no, you are going to be okay. You are going to find someone else if you want to, But that doesn't negate the feelings that you are going through, to just suck it up and move on? Absolutely not. If you don't accept the feelings that you are feeling in that moment of your heart getting broken, you will not be able to survive and thrive and move on and level up. There is just no way. If you skip over accepting the feelings that you are feeling, because yeah, it's not fun sitting in depression. It's not fun sitting in anger. It's not fun sitting in denial. I promise you, I know it's not fun, but you have to accept your feelings. Even if you're crying on your couch watching TikToks like I did, you have to accept it. You have to sit in it. You just have to. And in order to cope, if it's like eating grilled cheese or maybe some Publix ice cream, and yes, I'm naming those examples because that's exactly what I did when I started having an appetite, then that's what you do. You have to sit in your feelings, you have to acknowledge them, and you have to honor them. That is the first step you need to take in order to survive and thrive. And I know this may be coming out a little bit harsh, but I am so passionate in this first step, because if there is anything about that time of going through heartbreak that I remember so vividly, is when I was going to work. I had worked at a theme park at this point in my life. And I remember my friend group at the time, and I remember half of them were like, "Oh, you're going to be fine. Just suck it up and move on. It's not that big of a deal. Don't dismiss my feelings. You don't know what I'm going through. My life was literally ripped from me. Everything that I thought I knew was no longer there." And then I had some really amazing friends that I still have today who supported me in my healing journey. But the first step you have to do is accept everything that you are feeling, acknowledge it, and honor it. So, again, if that means eating ice cream, if that means eating grilled cheese, if that means going on long walks and crying and ranting about how much this sucks and how annoying it is, you got to do it. I promise you, you got to do it. Now, step two, you need to cut that emotional cord. Block, ignore, delete. I love telling my girlfriends this when there is a dumb boy in their life, that even if it's just a situationship and that boy is pissing them off and he's just being stupid, because you know what? That happens a lot. My motto in life: block, ignore, delete. Cut that emotional cord. You do not need any reminder of them in your life. They chose to leave your life for a reason. Believe it. You do not need them. I promise you, I know in the thick of it, all you want is that person to come back, and you're going to bargain and you're going to be like, but if I do this, but if I do that, from someone who was in that place, it's not going to change anything. It's really not. And I'm so sorry that I have to be the person to tell you this, but they're not coming back. They chose to leave. That was their decision. And now you have to live with their decision. So cut that emotional cord. They do not deserve to have any part of your life. They don't even deserve to look at how well you are doing in life without them. They don't get that privilege. It's like when Kerry Washington said on Scandal, "Speaking to me is a privilege. You do not have privileges." That is so true when you are going through a breakup. They do not have the privilege or opportunity to get to know what is going on in your life. They left. They walked out the door and they said, "Goodbye, I'm never talking to you again." Let them do that. Let them leave. Cut that emotional cord. They don't have the privilege to you, they don't have the access to you anymore. Block, ignore, delete. And also, when we're talking about cutting this emotional cord, we don't want to be stuck in the past. We want to fall in love with our iconic future. Now, I don't know what it is when I create my plans and my guides for you guys, but I always end up loving step three the best. I don't know what that says about me, but step three always does it for me. And this is no exception. So, step three is lean into your support system. You need to take note of the people you surround yourself with, because it is so telling. It truly is, because when it comes to situations like heartbreak or anything that's not rainbow and sunshines, that's who you know who your real friends are. And I know we spoke about friendship breakups last week and how you need to evaluate each friendship in your life. And That lesson applies right here as well. You need to lean into your support system and take note of the people who are actually there for you. You need to take note of the people who actually show up, but also take note of the people who like to say shit when your heart is broken. Now, I know there was a little va-va-voom when I was saying that, but matter of the fact is, that is the reality of the situation. Some people are just there for a good time, and some people are there through the thick and the thin. Those are the people that you want to keep in your life. Because it also goes back to, in last week's episode, we spoke about how friends should elevate you. They should make you want to be a better person. And when it comes to this case, right, on how you can survive and thrive when you have your heart broken in a romantic relationship, your friends are your support system. And if there are friends that are not showing up for you, if there are friends that are not going through the trenches with you, they are showing you their true colors. And I had to learn that the hard way. As I mentioned in step one, I was working at a theme park in this point in my life, and I had a really good group of friends, or what I thought were a really good group of friends. And there are some friends still to this day that I speak to who were there for me through the thin and the thick of it in that breakup. They were amazing friends. They only knew me for about 3 to 4 weeks at that point because, again, it's a seasonal job. It's during Halloween. And those particular friends, Bex being one of them, you heard from her earlier this season, they barely knew me. They knew only a glimpse of my relationship. And those people stuck by me. However, there were friends that did not show up for me, that said a lot of shit on how I was going through this heartbreak, how I was processing those emotions. They very freely spoke their mind about how everything I was doing was wrong and they wouldn't do it. Well, guess what? You don't have to agree with what I'm doing. But for you to badmouth how I am healing in a very difficult time in my life, you don't deserve to be in my life. Just like we spoke about in step two, how you need to cut that emotional cord with your ex. You also got to cut that emotional cord with the friends that are not being supportive. If they do not support you when you are going through heartbreak, they do not deserve you when you are glowing up, because this heartbreak is not going to break you. It is going to make you stronger. And they don't deserve to be there when it makes you stronger. They don't get all the perks. If they can't be there when it's not so shiny, they don't deserve to be there when it is. That is the matter of the fact. So you need to lean into the friends who truly support you, because your friends, like I mentioned last week, are your lifeline. And I will link that episode in the show notes below, the friendship breakup, glow up, moving on, and leveling up, for you guys, so you can go back to all the references that I'm mentioning when it comes to this certain step. And also, when we're talking about leaning into a supportive system, that doesn't have to just mean your friends. It could mean seeking therapy if that's of interest to you, if that is an option for you, because I also know that therapy is not accessible to everyone, right? It is a privilege, a luxury to have access to therapy. I'm such a big advocate for therapy. It was one of the first things, not even one of, it was the first thing I did after my breakup, after that 2 months of trying to figure out what was going on. At the beginning of the year in 2023, that was the first thing I did on my healing journey, was sign up for therapy. And it was really daunting. It was very overwhelming, but it helped me so much. It really did transform my life. So when we're talking about that supportive system, it doesn't just have to mean your friends and family and taking note of how others treat you. It could mean seeking therapy if that's an option for you and if that's something that you want to do. And if you want to do it and you're scared to do it, I highly, highly encourage you, Radiant Icons, to check it out. There are so many platforms out there, whether it's in person or virtual. I know that I did Talkspace. There's also this platform called BetterHelp. Like, there are so many resources out there. I'll link some in the show notes below. I may be completely biased, but I do love me step number 4 as well. So I don't know. I know I just said step number 3 is probably one of my favorites, but I also love step 4. It's really hard to choose, okay? Like, it's really hard. But step 4 is rediscovering yourself, saying yes to the new lease on life that you have been granted. This breakup happened for a reason. Whether we like it or not, it did happen. That person is saying goodbye. That person is stepping out of your life. That relationship is no more for a reason. You have to be accepting of what is going on. You need to say yes to life. You need to say yes to the doors that are opening. You need to say yes to the new experiences that are going to happen for you. That person left to make room for something better, for something that is more aligned for the path that you are going down. So you need to be open to it. You need to be receptive to it. You need to say yes. This is the time where you get to be so selfish, because when you're in relationships, I feel like sometimes we may lose a sense of ourselves. We may prioritize the other person's needs before our own. I know I definitely did that. I definitely prioritized my ex's life before my own at times, and I lost a part of myself. And during this post breakup time where I was learning how to survive and thrive, I needed to start saying yes to myself again. I needed to start rediscovering what sets my soul on fire, what fuels my heart. I needed to see what I wanted to do again, because I didn't know who I was after the breakup. I was a shell of Amanda. So I needed to start small and build my way up. I needed to rediscover who Amanda was. So I just started saying yes to life. I started saying yes to everything around me. I started doing the things that I used to love doing before I was in the relationship that maybe during the relationship I didn't do. An example for me personally would be, I love to go out. I love to go out dancing. I love to dress up. I love to have a good time. I love to take pictures. That is me. That is Amanda to a T. And in my relationship, I stopped doing that. Maybe I did it every once in a while, but my ex was more of a homebody. He didn't like socializing. He was very introverted. And like, that's not bad, but I was definitely diminishing or putting aside my wants and needs, what I wanted to do at that point in my life. Like, I was with him for 3.5 years. Like, that's like half of college almost. Like, I didn't go out as much as maybe I wanted to, because I was prioritizing what my ex wanted to do, what he was comfortable with, because again, that's also maybe a people pleasing tendency of mine. But you know what, we live and we learn. However, I took that breakup as an excuse to be selfish. I prioritized my time, I prioritized me. So the first thing I did is I went to a party. I dressed up really hot. I took some hot TikToks and I went out and I shaked my booty. That's what I did. That's what made me feel Amanda again. That's what helped me rediscover who I am. So I challenge you, Radiant Icons, when you're in this certain step of this surviving and thriving from heartbreak, is to rediscover who you are, to remember the bad bitch that you are, to remember the icon that you are. Start doing things that you want to do, start doing the things that you need to do. Start falling in love with yourself again. Start falling in love with life. Start saying yes. This is an opportunity for you to take life by the horns and just go for it. So why not do it? Now, you know, we love boundary setting here at Dare to Be Iconic, even if I'm not good at it. I do love it. So, step five, the last and final step, is setting boundaries for healing. Now, no contact was forced upon me in my breakup, but I can say confidently it was the best thing to ever happen to me. And I know I keep saying the breakup was the best thing that ever happened to me. I know, but it was. But in fact, this boundary that my ex set with me, this no contact, actually did help. It was actually a genius boundary. And that is the only thing I will ever give him credit for. Let's get that clear. And you know what? I'm not even going to lie to you guys. I did break that boundary with my ex. He told me not to contact him, and I did email him. I absolutely did, because I wanted closure, right? I didn't know what was going on because I was so blindsided by this breakup. So, yes, I did break that boundary. I did contact him. I did leave him an email because that was the only form of communication I could have with him. And when he answered back and told me, absolutely not, you need to respect my boundary, I did respect it. That was my sign of, okay, this really, really is over. I need to move on. I need to keep pushing forward. I need to prioritize me. So, by him setting that boundary with me and me being like, okay, you know what? I'm going to keep that boundary up. I actually have no choice. I need to respect it. I need to move on with my life now. Best thing to ever happen to me, because it helped me not to fall into that trap of, oh, How you doing? Oh, I miss you. This and that a lot of us go through, right? When we don't set that firm boundary of no contact or whatever it is, we end up falling into those old habits or patterns of checking in on our ex because we're so used to having them there in our lives. That is normal. But by setting a boundary so you can heal and move forward is that last piece to the puzzle so you can accept what's going on, so you can thrive and survive. We have made it to the Dare to Be Iconic hotline of today's tea time sesh, and these questions are spicy. These questions are piping hot. In fact, they're boiling. So let's spill the tea on them. All right, question one. Amanda, I keep wanting to reach out to my ex. How do I stop myself? I think my best advice in this scenario is asking yourself the question, what will I gain from reaching out to my ex? Like, genuinely, what will I gain from it? Will it reopen a wound that hasn't been healed, or will I actually get closure? And oftentimes, distance is the closure that we need. And I had to learn this the hard way, but honestly, distance usually is the answer. It is better to just cut that cord and go about your separate ways than reopening a wound and feeling great in that moment and then afterwards feeling like shit. So when you are in that stage of, oh, I really want to reach out to them, ask yourself, will this actually help me in my healing journey? And if it's not, if it's just one moment of satisfaction, and then you're going to go down that hill of, oh, this actually doesn't feel good. This isn't a place that I want to be in, then your answer should be distance is what I need. I'm not going to reach out to them. And that's what I'm going to challenge you with. Question number two. Is it normal to still love someone after they've hurt me? Yes. You still can love someone after your breakup. You can still love someone after they've hurt you. I think of it like this person was in your life for X amount of months, years, days. That is the matter, the fact of it. At one point in your life, in that relationship, you loved or cared for them. Obviously, when that relationship breaks, when it no longer is there, those emotions, those positive emotions still are there. They may be overshadowed by those negative emotions that you're feeling right now, but the love and care that you had for that person is still there and it's still valid. It's still normal to feel that way. So, yes, I think it's okay to still love someone after they've hurt you. However, in the long run of things, those feelings most likely will change. If it wasn't a messy breakup, I would say you may love that person for the rest of your life. I don't have that experience personally. I cannot say that is true for me, but I do know that is true for other people. Some people are broken up for X amount of years and it was a very mutual breakup and they still love that person and care for that person till this day, even though they're living their own separate lives. And I think that's beautiful. I just can't relate to that. However, if it's a messy breakup and it was one sided, those feelings most likely will change. I can say from personal experience that when I first got broken up with by my ex, I was with him for 3.5 years. That 2 month period before I decided to change my life and I was still figuring out this healing journey, right? I still did love him. I still had love for him. He was a part of my life. I did love him at one point in my life, for years actually. Of course, after that breakup, I'm still going to feel some type of emotion for him or towards him. Those positive emotions still will be there. Now, far removed, so far removed, a completely more iconic version of myself now, I can tell you that feeling has completely changed. I generally could care less what my ex is doing, but that's just me now. And maybe that will change, most likely not, but maybe that will change. But what I'm trying to say is that it's okay to still love someone, and it's okay if those emotions do change later down the line. It's okay, it's normal, it's valid, and love isn't a light switch. You can't just flip it on and off. Love sticks with you. Love stays with you, and it's okay that it's still there. It truly is. All right, Radiant Icons, that is your tea time sesh for today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, make sure to subscribe, to leave a rating, a review, a comment, to tell your friends about us, to tell everyone and anyone because we love more Radiant Icons in our iconic community of ours. Oh my gosh, Radiant Icons, I truly cannot believe that next week on March 27th will be 1 year since the launch of the Dare to Be Iconic podcast. One of the best business decisions I have ever made was starting this podcast. And I can't believe we're already on a year. So thank you guys for being here for the Dare to Be Iconic journey. The podcast really has allowed me to connect with you guys in such a special and intimate way. And I can't believe you spend every week listening to me yap on this mic and spill the tea about my life. I truly cannot believe that I get to do this. And I just get to do what I love because you guys choose to be on this journey with me. And I'm just so happy that you're here and a part of the Radiant Icon Club. I love you guys. So thank you. Anyways, I'm just so excited for next week. Not only is it the 1 year anniversary of the Dare to Be Iconic podcast, but next week's Tea Time Sesh is all about cultivating unbreakable confidence, how to truly love yourself as the icon that you are. Because we're in this new era, right? We've spoken about the friendship breakups, we've spoken about the romantic breakups. We're in an era of new. We're in an era of iconicness. We're in an era of singleness, whether it's platonically or romantically. We're in this new era. So, how do we love ourselves like the icons that we are while we're experiencing all this newness? Well, that is what we're spilling the tea on next week. And we are celebrating. So, make sure to check out the Dare to Be Iconic and my personal social media pages because there may be a little surprise coming up as a little thank you for changing my life. Like truly you guys have, and I am so grateful. Like I can't shut up about it, but I truly am. I love you guys. I will talk to you guys next week. Remember, Radiant Icons, dare to be iconic. Bye.